Eric Forrester, the patriarch of the Forrester family and the heart of Forrester Creations, has always been the cornerstone of the family business. His steady leadership and vision helped transform the company into the global powerhouse it is today. But after years of steering the company through both triumphs and tribulations, Eric faces the toughest decision of his life. In a surprising move, Eric announces that he is stepping down from his role as CEO of Forrester Creations and transferring the power to his son Rich. However, this decision quickly leads to a major conflict within the Forrester family, especially between Eric and Rich, who is left feeling betrayed by his father's choice to support other family members in ways that Ridge never expected. The drama unfolds as Ridge must now navigate the complex dynamics of family loyalty, business ambition, and personal emotions, all while Stephanie, the strong-willed matriarch of the Forrester family, is caught in the middle, torn between her love for Eric and her allegiance to her family. As the tension builds, it becomes clear that the battle for control over Forrester Creations is not just a business matter, it's a fight for the heart and soul of the Forrester family itself. Eric's decision to hand over the reins of the company to Ridge comes as a shock to the entire family. For years, Ridge had been expected to take over the company, but the road to this moment had not been easy. Ridge's complicated relationship with his father, compounded by years of family conflicts, has made his ascent to the top far from smooth. Despite being a highly capable businessman, Ridge has always struggled with the legacy of his family name and the expectations placed on him. Eric, always the father who wanted what was best for his children, had often taken a more supportive role, giving Ridge room to find his own path. But now, as Eric grows older and feels the weight of his years, he decides that it's time to pass the baton to Ridge, hoping that his son will be the one to carry the Forrester legacy forward. However, Eric's decision comes with a sense of finality that Ridge is not prepared for. Ridge, who had been accustomed to working alongside his father in a collaborative, though sometimes tense, environment, now finds himself thrust into a position where his authority is questioned. What was meant to be a symbolic passing of the torch quickly becomes a bitter and contentious issue within the family. Ridge feels betrayed by his father's decision to support other members of the Forrester family in ways that Ridge feels are undermining his own position. Ridge has always been a man of conviction, driven by a sense of justice and a desire to protect the Forrester family. But in this moment, he feels overlooked and disrespected. Eric's decision to transfer power to Ridge is one that Ridge never fully anticipated, and his emotional reaction is one of shock and anger. To Ridge, Eric's choice feels like an act of betrayal, one that casts doubt on their entire relationship. Ridge believes that his father's support of other family members, who, in Ridge's eyes, have not earned the same trust or respect, compromises his authority and undermines his role as the head of Forrester Creations. This leads to a major rift between the two men, one that threatens to fracture the Forrester family's carefully constructed image of unity and harmony. As Ridge struggles with his newfound responsibilities, he must also contend with the emotional fallout of Eric's decision, as the father-son dynamic shifts into unfamiliar and dangerous territory. Meanwhile, the presence of Stephanie Forrester, the matriarch and the emotional backbone of the Forrester family, adds further complexity to the situation. Stephanie's return to town after a period of absence only intensifies the already fragile situation between Eric and Ridge. Stephanie, who has always been fiercely protective of her family, finds herself torn between the love she has for Eric and the loyalty she feels toward her children. Having been away for some time, Stephanie is thrust back into a chaotic situation that forces her to confront not just the future of the Forrester empire, but her own personal feelings and emotions. With Eric's decision to transfer control of Forrester Creations to Ridge, Stephanie is left to navigate the emotional turmoil of the family dynamic. Her heart is pulled in different directions as she finds herself caught in the middle of a father-son conflict that threatens to tear the family apart. While she understands the importance of passing the torch to Ridge, she also knows the damage that Ridge's sense of betrayal could do to the fragile family relationships. As the conflict between Eric and Ridge intensifies, Stephanie becomes more and more embroiled in the drama. The family that she has always fought to protect now seems to be on the verge of collapse. Stephanie knows that her role as matriarch is crucial to holding everything together, but her involvement in this new conflict places her in a difficult and painful position. On one hand, she wants to support her husband Eric in his decision, knowing that he has worked hard to build the family legacy. On the other hand, she sees the emotional toll that Ridge is experiencing, and she sympathizes with his feelings of betrayal. As Ridge and Eric's conflict deepens, Stephanie finds herself struggling with how best to manage the situation. Her own feelings about the family, business, and her marriage to Eric are put to the test as the power struggle intensifies. Adding further complexity to the situation is Stephanie's emotional struggle to reclaim Eric's heart. Despite their shared history and the love they once shared, their relationship has never been without its complications. The years have not been kind to their marriage, and Stephanie's return to town raises questions about the state of their relationship. Is it possible for Stephanie and Eric to rekindle their romance and rebuild their relationship, or has too much time passed? As the family conflict over Forrester Creations escalates, Stephanie finds herself not only fighting to save the family business, but also to win back the love of the man she once shared everything with. Her feelings for Eric are undeniable, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to remind him of the bond they once had. However, this is not an easy battle. Eric's growing disillusionment with the family business and his relationship with Ridge makes it increasingly difficult for him to reconnect with Stephanie on the emotional level she desires. Meanwhile, Ridge's own feelings of betrayal threaten to cloud his judgment. The pain of his father's decision to support other family members, including Ridge's own children, has left him reeling. Ridge feels that his place within the family is being threatened, and his anger toward Eric only intensifies as he fights to regain control. The rift between father and son continues to widen, and Ridge must confront his own feelings of inadequacy and resentment. As the battle for the future of Forrester Creations intensifies, Ridge's emotional turmoil threatens to spill over, creating a volatile situation that could lead to irreversible consequences. Stephanie, caught in the middle of the battle for Eric's affections and the future of the Forrester Empire, must find a way to balance her loyalty to both her husband and her children. Her internal struggle between her desire to repair her marriage with Eric and her duty to protect her family from the fallout of Ridge's bitterness will define the course of the family's future. The Forrester legacy, which has been built on passion, ambition, and love, now faces its greatest test. Can Stephanie help heal the rift between Eric and Ridge, or will the power struggle over Forrester Creations ultimately destroy the family she has fought so hard to protect? Only time will tell as the Forrester family confronts their most significant crisis yet, one that will change the course of their futures and the fate of Forrester Creations. After years of attempting to leave his darker side behind, Thomas Forrester finds himself once again slipping into old habits, determined to reclaim the power he believes he's owed. Having struggled with manipulation and deceit in the past, Thomas's return to the Forrester family comes with new schemes and goals. Goals that revolve around both his career and his relationships with those closest to him. Thomas has never been one to shy away from drastic measures when it comes to getting what he wants, and this time is no different. When Ridge, his father, steps in and attempts to put a stop to his manipulative ways, the stage is set for a family showdown unlike anything the Forrester clan has ever faced before. As tensions rise, Thomas becomes more determined to carve out a future for himself within the family business, no matter the cost. Ridge, the patriarch of the Forrester family, has always had a soft spot for his children, but he knows all too well the dangers that Thomas's ambitions can bring. Ridge is deeply concerned about his son's return to his old, scheming ways, especially when it comes to the well-being of Hope Logan and the Forrester family as a whole. Ridge has seen Thomas's manipulations in the past, and with the deep scars left from those betrayals, he is determined not to let history repeat itself. When Thomas's behavior starts to raise red flags once again, Ridge takes a firm stand and decides to act. He makes the bold decision to forbid Thomas from interacting with Hope and the Forrester family, believing that he must protect them from Thomas's influence. Ridge is convinced that keeping Thomas at arm's length is the only way to protect the family from the danger that Thomas's calculated moves pose. It is a drastic decision, but Ridge feels it is necessary to safeguard both the family's business and their emotional well-being. This decision is not taken lightly, but Ridge's determination to stop Thomas from manipulating Hope and others leads him down a path of confrontation and conflict. However, Thomas is not one to back down easily. Deeply hurt by Ridge's decision to cut him off from the family, Thomas becomes even more resolute in his determination to prove himself and regain his standing within the Forrester family. Thomas believes that he is just as capable as anyone else in the family, if not more so, and that his contributions to the family business and his legacy are being undervalued. He has long coveted a more prominent position within the company, and now that his father is keeping him at a distance, Thomas becomes more desperate to reclaim what he feels is rightfully his. His desire for control in the company begins to consume him once again, and he starts to devise new, more cunning strategies to ensure his return to power. While Ridge's attempt to keep Thomas out of the family's inner circle seems to have created a temporary barrier, Thomas is determined to break through. He knows that if he can get close enough to Hope, he can manipulate the situation to his advantage. Hope, who has always been someone Thomas has harbored feelings for, becomes his primary target once again. Although Hope has been cautious with Thomas in the past, her empathy and compassion may just make her vulnerable to his charm and manipulation. The situation becomes even more complicated when Thomas sets his sights on regaining his position within Forrester Creations. His ambitions are no longer just about winning Hope's affections. They now extend to taking control of the family business itself. Thomas believes that he can do a better job than Ridge and that he deserves to be the one at the helm of Forrester Creations. He begins to push boundaries, using his knowledge of the company's inner workings to create chaos and sow discord among the Forrester employees. He knows how to play people against each other, and he begins using this skill to manipulate the situation to his benefit. Whether it's spreading rumors, sowing distrust between family members, or undermining Ridge's authority in subtle ways, Thomas is determined to make his mark on the company and secure his place as the true leader of Forrester Creations. As the tension between father and son escalates, the Forrester family is plunged into a whirlwind of conflict, suspicion, and distrust. Ridge, ever the protector of his family, becomes increasingly frustrated by Thomas's relentless pursuit of power. His belief in his son's ability to change is tested to the limit as Thomas's manipulative behavior begins to unfold before him once again. Ridge is conflicted on the one hand. He wants to believe that Thomas has turned a corner and is capable of doing good for the family. On the other hand, he sees the same destructive tendencies resurfacing, and he knows that if Thomas is allowed to continue down this path, it could tear the family apart. Ridge's efforts to distance himself from his son's schemes only seem to push Thomas further away, and the more Ridge tries to protect the family, the more Thomas digs his heels in, determined to prove that he belongs at the top. The once strong bond between father and son begins to fray, and Ridge is forced to confront the painful reality that he may never be able to fully trust Thomas again. Hope, too, finds herself caught in the middle of this family feud. As Thomas's obsession with her resurfaces, She is forced to reconsider her feelings for him. She has been burned by him before, and the trust between them has been shattered. Yet, there is a part of Hope that still feels compassion for Thomas, especially when he plays on her vulnerabilities. Despite her better judgment, Hope begins to question whether Thomas has truly changed or whether he is simply using her to achieve his own goals. She is torn between her loyalty to her family and the guilt she feels for not giving Thomas a second chance. The situation becomes even more complicated as Hope starts to see glimpses of the man Thomas could be, but she is all too aware of the manipulative side of him that has caused so much harm in the past. As Thomas intensifies his efforts to regain control of Forrester Creations, the family dynamic becomes even more strained. Brooke and Ridge find themselves at odds over how to handle their son's behavior. Brooke, ever the optimist, hopes that Thomas can be redeemed, but Ridge remains resolute in his belief that Thomas must be kept at a distance to protect the family. This difference in perspective creates tension between the two of them, and they must navigate their differing views on how to handle Thomas's destructive ambition. As the battle for control of Forrester Creations intensifies, so does the rift between father and son. Each move Thomas makes to manipulate the family and secure his place in the business only drives a deeper wedge between him and his family members. The conflict escalates to the point where Ridge must decide how far he is willing to go to protect Hope and the future of Forrester Creations from his son's relentless pursuit of power. With Thomas's determination to succeed and Ridge's firm resolve to stop him, the situation reaches a boiling point. The tension between father and son becomes unbearable, and the future of the Forrester family hangs in the balance. Will Ridge's efforts to protect the family succeed, or will Thomas's ambitions tear the Forrester legacy apart? The stakes have never been higher, and the battle for control of Forrester Creations has reached a crucial juncture. As the family continues to spiral into conflict, only time will tell who will emerge victorious and what the ultimate cost of Thomas's ambition will be. The Forrester family, already fraught with emotional turmoil, must now face the possibility that Thomas's return may not just disrupt their business, but may very well destroy the bonds that have held them together for so long.